Hello, and welcome back to this series about the Abomination Vaults. We are getting close to the finale of this adventure path, but first, we must venture through the hunting grounds of the 9th floor. As always, we go through a general overview of the floor, key encounters, side quests, and more. Across all 3 floors of the final book, the adventurers will gather a set of powerful items to use in their fight against Belcora Haruvex. I outline all of that in a separate video, which I suggest you watch before continuing this one. A link to that video is in the description below. Also, just as previous videos, this one is filled to the brim with spoilers. If you are playing in an Abomination Vaults game, or will soon be playing in one, stop this video now and take a little stroll outside. Without further ado, let's get to it. The hunting grounds are a part of the vaults that was not artificially created by Belcora. When she worked her way downwards to the Shrine of Nimbaloth, she came upon this wild and spacious section of the Darklands. While she didn't shape the geography of this floor that much, she did leave her mark on 2 important factions of this floor: the Drow of Ildaris and the Urdefon. She entrusted these groups with 1 fulcrum lens each, and recovering these is an important task for the adventurers if they seek to destroy Belcora. Both of these factions are outlined in the factions section of this video. Similar to the 8th floor, this floor is a sprawling cavern filled with large caves, narrow hallways, and a lake dominating a section of this floor. Doors here are either made out of stone or fungal wood, and bioluminescent mushrooms provide enough light to draw the adventurer's attention to the humbling scale of these caverns. The walls are covered in mold and slime. Echoing roars of subterranean creatures ring throughout the caves, and the party might encounter strange tracks in the floor's mud. The lake on this floor can provide a logistical challenge to the party. The boathouse in room 29 provides a temporary solution in the form of a swan boat feather token, but if you want to give your group more permanent means to sail across the lake, the same boathouse could also contain an old boat with just a few holes from rot. Talking about boats, the Swanboat Feather token has been remastered into a Bode Marvelous miniature. The cutter created from that miniature has different stats than the Swanboat, so make sure to keep those handy when the time comes. The major factions on this floor are the Drow of Ildaris and the Urdefon, led by the war champion Kerfel. One of these is likely to ally with the adventurers, and the other are the Urdefon. Ildaris is a fortified stronghold of Drow who came up from deeper below. When Belcora constructed the vaults, she knew she could not easily sway the stealthy and tactical hunters, and instead forced them into an alliance. The sorceress captured many of their rangers, and only released them if Ildaris pledged allegiance to her and would safeguard the Ochre Fulcrum Lens. The Drow begrudgingly accepted, and had the lens in their possession for a long time. However, it was lost when Larathals, former leader of Ildaris, went out on a secret expedition to learn more about the lens. His daughter and current leader Quora renewed her vows of allegiance when Belcora returned, but she is looking for ways to free her people of this task and, ideally, also deal with Belcora Haruvex. Ildaris is quite an impressive outpost, and if the player characters ally with the Drow here, they can make use of its many facilities and friendly NPCs. The outpost is a level 7 settlement, meaning access to higher level items than in Otari. Anything that is higher level than that, the Drow could request from the city of Lozardin deeper below, but it will require about a week to come up from there. Additionally, the adventurers can safely rest here, giving them a place to sleep and recover from grievous wounds far away from the surface. The Urdefan in the southwestern reaches of this floor are fiercely loyal to Belcora and guard the Emerald Fulcrum lens. When the sorceress originally came here, she impressed these warriors with coordinated and fearsome attacks on their camp, and promised them a place in the vanguard of her attack on the surface world if they would submit to her. Since then, the Emerald Fulcrum lens has been passed from war champion to war champion, and is currently held by Kurfel. While the majority of the Urdefan reside in their camp, small scouting parties range throughout this floor and might attack the party at any moment. This is represented by various Urdefan encounters in the random encounter table of this floor. The Urdefan bolster their ranks by summoning daemons, and it is worth your time to read up on what differentiates a daemon from a demon and devil in Pathfinder lore, so you are prepared for any questions that might come up about the nature of these creatures. A minor faction that ties this floor to the previous one are the Calgny led by Galudu. This is the other half of the Calgny that originally came from deeper below, fleeing from an unknown calamity. These Calgny did not stay to revel in the wisdom of Erthagol, but instead moved back down and are still looking for a new home. The Calgny are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They know a path to a potential new home, but cannot leave their current position because they are attacked by the Urdefan on one side, and know that a terrifying dragon called Ravarex lurks not far away and close to the path they need to take. If the adventurers can help them deal with these dangers, and perhaps even escort them, they will be grateful for their help. More about the escort of the Calgny will be described in the side quest section of this video. First off, the book suggests a random encounter table for this floor, emulating the roaming and traveling dangers the PCs might encounter. This table includes encounters with runaway riding lizards, scouting parties of Urdefan, and even an encounter with the bizarre but also very fun to run Cthulhu the party can encounter later. I'm not a big fan of adding these random encounters, since I think this floor is already packed with a lot of content, but if you ever feel like the party is strolling around a bit too safely, see if you can fail that DC 5 flat check and roll on that table. Room 5 to 20 cover Ildaris, the drow outpost led by Quora or Shendiel. The starting attitude of the drow here depends on under which circumstances the PCs come here. If they arrive alone, it will take some convincing to gain entrance. If they mention that they are working to stop Belcora's plans, the drow guarding the entrances allow them in and bring them to Quora to parley. If the PCs befriended the drow scouts on the 8th floor and are brought down here by them, entering Ildaris will of course be a lot easier, and the party has a few drow willing to vouch for them. Additionally, if the party saved Falkshi or Shendiel from the Warp Brew Tavern, he will be here and also vouch for these adventurers. The most important encounter here is an audience with Quora or Shendiel, leader of the outpost. Quora has recently renewed her people's pledge of loyalty to Belcora, but serving the Ghost Queen is not what she wants for the future of her kin. She knows that her ancestors were forced into this role of custodians of the lens, and she also reveals that the lens was lost when her father and sister went on a secret expedition a few years ago. She's willing to cooperate with anyone who might know more about the lenses, and who is willing to help her deal with Belcora. The twin prophets Bosrad and Clathor provide some more information. They have seen in their visions that Larathols, Quora's father, dropped his lens in a dark and wet place before Kurfel could kill him. They also have seen that more information about the lenses are in the old treasure vault overlooking the lake, and that Belcora kept the lenses apart because they would otherwise draw Nimbaloth's ire. The adventure contains a full rundown of all the information Quora and the prophets provide, and this information is vital for the players and their characters. Coincidentally, The adventure path assumes that the PCs will approach the drow with friendly intent, which I think is a fair assumption given the fact the drow will not initiate any violence, but in the worst case, just deny the PC's entrance to Eldaris. Should the very unlikely event occur that your party fights the drow, you should consider implementing a way for them to still find this information. Perhaps Quora or the prophets kept diaries or notebooks. Of course, you can also let the players live with the consequences of their violent actions. Again, I think it is highly unlikely that any party will want to fight the drow, but better to be prepared and all that stuff. Room 33 to 37 are the Urdeffan's war camp. Here, the vast majority of their troops reside, and summoners perform dark rituals to summon daemons to this realm. These areas are absolutely packed with Urdeffan and daemons. If the adventurers just charge in here, chances are high that you will be running absolutely massive encounters with many participants. Keep in mind that the Urdeffan warriors are level 3, so the PCs will cut through them like they are made of paper mache. If you had the PCs run into random encounters with Urdeffan before coming here, you could reduce the number of Urdeffans still present here based on how many they had defeated earlier. If they defeated 4 warriors and 2 Sustu daemons already, it feels realistic that those are no longer here at the camp, unless the Urdeffan had a significant amount of time to muster new forces and summon new daemons. The tunnel in room 38 offers a way to enter the camp more stealthily, provided the adventurers can defeat the guards here and have no one call for backup. Still, sneaking their way through a camp this packed with enemies will be hard. If you would rather not run combats with 20 combatants, taking ages before any player can take their turn and leaving you as the GM to speedrun through dozens of monsters, you could consider having the Urdeffan flood into combat in waves. This should keep the XP budget the same, but has you dealing with fewer combatants. Start with groups of warriors, and then bring in Tormentors, Lashers, Death Scouts, and the Sustu Daemons in later waves. War Champion Kerfel resides in room 36, the so-called Blood Temple. He is more than eager to fight any intruders and prove his might. Due to being invested in the Emerald Fulcrum Lens, harm spells heal the Urdeffan, and the Tormentors at his side will use that to keep Kerfel in the fight. Once the PCs have defeated Kerfel, they will want to take his Roka sword as proof for Quora that the Urdeffan are now without a leader. Of course, they should also not forget to claim the Emerald Fulcrum Lens from his dead body. The Calgny in room 22 to 26 are wary of any intruders. But if it becomes clear that the adventurers have helped their kin on floor 8 and might be able to help them too, Galuda will gladly talk instead of fight. She needs help in bringing her people to safety, but great danger lies along the way. Helping these Calgny escape is a side quest that is further described in the side quest section of this video. Overlooking the vast lake of this floor is Balcora's treasure vault, spanning rooms 52 to 59. It is here where Balcora has stored her most valuable books, wealth, and the Fulcrum Lattice. This was also probably the destination of Larathol's secret expedition, but he was slain by Kerfel before he could reach it. Entering the vault and overcoming its dangers will not just provide the heroes with the Fulcrum Lattice, but with a lot of information on why Balcora kept the lenses separated and what her original plan with them was. Give your players a nice callback to the very first book of this adventure path by highlighting that Volek Azrene originally designed mundane lenses to keep the gauntlet running on a lower capacity, before the full lattice and all 4 fulcrum lenses would be installed to shine a beam of death and destruction on Absalom. Balcora's Vault of Secrets in room 58 is the perfect place to fill the players in on any information about the lenses they might have missed, or provide them with intel that will have them connect the dots. Of course, the party has to first overcome the Vault's security systems and guardians. The highlight of the Vault's defenses is Kalido Harovex. Kalido had come to the Vaults when he heard of his distant cousin's plans and pledged his services to her. Belcora gladly accepted, immediately killed Kalido, and then raised him as a Grave Knight. He has been one of Belcora's most loyal servants and is tasked with protecting the treasures of her vault. As a Grave Knight, Kalido will reform after a number of days unless the PCs find a way to destroy the armor. The only somewhat accessible option at this level is the Disintegrate spell, but you should reward creative solutions to at least make it harder for Kalido to reassemble by having it take longer before the Grave Knight returns to unlife. The adventurers could fling parts of the armor into the lake, or even consider using the Infernal Forge on the 7th floor to attempt to destroy it. If Kalido returns after the PCs have plundered the vault, he will chase them. I think he would be cunning enough to try and ambush the adventurers while they are fighting other enemies, so feel free to throw him into any encounter you want to spice up. Perhaps a returned Kalido would also consider teaming up with the Urdefon, helping them defend their camp in exchange for the right of taking back what the intruders stole. In the northern reaches of this floor, the gates of Nimbaloth take up rooms 60 to 64. Long before Belcora came here to build the Gauntlet, an older cult in Nimbaloth had erected this structure and used it to initiate new members into their ranks. Watching over these initiations was the mysterious undead entity called Lady's Whisper. She decided who was worthy to even begin the initiation, and who was unworthy and forced into a different, more terrible fate. When the heroes arrive in Lady's Whisper's chamber, the skeletal entity rises from her throne, points to the eastern door, and whispers the name of every player character. She will then lead them onwards towards the first challenge awaiting below. If the PCs attack Lady's Whisper, she will fight them and call upon nearby Dreadwisps to aid her. If the fight gets close enough to the bottomless pit in room 62, she can use her unwilling teleportation ability to drop foes into that. The exact connection between Lady's Whisper, Belcora, and Nimbaloth is unclear. The adventure states Lady's Whisper knows that the PCs are ill-suited to join the cult, and that she only puts them through the trials to weaken them. You could twist this and instead imply that Lady's Whisper is testing them to see if they are capable enough to destroy Belcora. The fact that the Ghost Queen wants to draw upon the full power of the Empty Death could conflict with Lady's Whisper, who sees that as a heretical use of Nimbaloth might and a danger for this temple she guards. If you go with this angle, Lady's Whisper might also provide the PCs with some more information on the nature of this place, Nimbaloth, and the plans of Belcora. The island of Room 41 is where the Ochre Fulcrum lens can be found in the waters close to the nest of a Cthulhu. I don't even know if I've been pronouncing the name of this creature correctly, so bear with me. The Cthulhu has a super fun stat block, focused on getting other creatures confused and then using confused creatures to the Cthulhu's benefit. It is also a high-level creature that can absolutely destroy a party that has bad luck saving from confusion. It can feel like a boss fight, but with a creature that is unrelated to the larger narrative of the campaign. You might want to apply the weak template to the Cthulhu to make it slightly less deadly, or move the lens from the nearby waters into its nest. That will give the players a clear alternative objective to the encounter, recovering the lens and getting away from the Tarot Bird once they have it. The Cthulhu could still become a recurring menace, setting out from its island nest in search of food. It is also included in the random encounter table mentioned earlier. Ravarax is a black dragon that has set up his lair in the eastern region around room 51. He is a nasty and cunning creature who tried to conquer all of the floor but realized that there are other powerful factions and entities here that require a more insidious approach. He is focused on tending to his lair, but will ferociously fight any intruders to defend his hoard. Ravarax has been visited by Belcora once, and she mentioned potentially bestowing a magical lens upon him in exchange for his help in attacking a surface world city. The dragon is still awaiting the return of the Ghost Queen to learn more, but should he spot any lenses on the adventurers when they fight him, he will focus his attention on them to take the lenses and add them to his hoard. The fen in room 51 looks spacious, but throw in a creature as large as Ravarax and the party of adventurers, and things can get narrow between fungal clusters and rocks. If you want to highlight the mobility and tactical positioning a dragon is capable of, you should consider looking for an alternative map for this encounter. Also, if you want to update Ravarax to one of the new remastered dragons, I would suggest going for either a Conspirator Dragon or Mirage Dragon. The Conspirator Dragon would highlight Ravarax's urge to not just hoard treasure, but also information, trying to understand what Belcora is planning. A Mirage Dragon makes Ravarax more of a cunning hunter, using illusions to hide his presence and his natural camouflage to blend into the dark environments down here. One final encounter I want to highlight is the Gogiteth in room 49. The adventurers might have already seen one in the stasis chambers of the 7th floor. The Gogiteth is an absolute nightmare creature, and the dark northern reaches of this floor are its hunting grounds. Room 48's blood and gore foreshadow it, but I personally think you should take this chance to run one of Pathfinder's most horrifying creatures and telegraph its presence earlier. Should the PCs come to the northern parts, let them run into some mangled Urdefan corpses. If you want fewer encounters with the floor's wildlife, have the PCs come upon the ravaged corpse of the Sholn in room 44, a bloody trail leading eastwards towards the Gogiteth. Amp up the horror by describing disgusting clicking and popping sounds echoing from somewhere deeper in the tunnels, as the Gogiteth is skittering on its unsettling legs in search of fresh victims. Man, I hate and love Gogiteth, and you can learn more about them in my dedicated Monstrous Lore video. Link to it is in the description below. The portal for this floor is in room 59, deep in Belcora's treasure vault. Galudu is looking for a way to guide her people safely out of this floor, but is hindered by the Urdefan and their daemons on one side and Ravarax on the other. If the PCs can take out at least one of these threats, Galudu can have her people leave. The PCs can help escort these Calgny to their safe place, but they will be harried and attacked by Urdefan. The attacking Urdefan are from room 35 and 36, so keep in mind that any Urdefan the adventurers defeat while escorting the Calgny will no longer be present once the PCs make it into the Urdefan camp, or that there might be no Urdefan at all if the PCs have dealt with Kerfel and his forces already. The Urdefan in room 35 keep one prisoner, the deep gnome Calanth Narokblom. Calanth came to the vaults following rumors that an offshoot of his people live here, and he is trying to find them. He is unaware that said offshoot are the undead children of Belcora one floor above. If the PCs save him and tell him about the truth of the deep gnomes here, he will be sad but grateful for the help. Calanth will send a valuable Dark Chase game set to the PCs as a reward later, which could be delivered to Eldaris if he knows the adventurers are friendly with the drow. Quora Arshendiel wants vengeance exacted on Kurfel for the drow he and the Erdefan have killed. She wants the war champion killed, and his two-pronged Roka sword brought to her as a trophy and proof of his death. Only one more floor remains, and the adventurers should have 3 lenses and the lattice available after completing this floor. Make sure to have Bakura make 1 or 2 more appearances as the PCs gather the implements of her destruction, making her fight more viciously in every fight. As your party is approaching the finale of this campaign, allow them some downtime to make their preparations and prepare for a showdown that will decide the fate of Otari and Absalom. That's it for this video. Are there any specific parts of this floor you look forward to run? Or do you have any further questions or feedback? Sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, take care, and bye-bye.